Hey y'all, Rick Rex here, coming at you with another video. This time in our ongoing Basics to Endgame walkthrough of DC Universe Online, we're going to tackle character creation. Now the purpose of this series is for beginners to not get lost in the game at any point during the leveling process, and most importantly, to know what to do when you hit level 30. Also, for those intermediate players and those returning who need that quick refresh, y'all are welcome to come along for the ride also. For a game that's been around as long as dcuo, there really has to be some magic there to make it last this long. Now it's had its share of problems as any game does while growing, especially for this long, but its level of diversity, customization, and its ability to transform, mostly for the better, has made it still amazing to this day. With that being said, thanks again for supporting the channel. If you like what you see and want more content to grow with us, hit that like and subscribe button for more content delivered to you regularly by yours truly, Rick Rex. Now in this video, again, we're going to talk about character creation. This is where we get to customize our new baby toons' looks, interactions with the world of DC, and their powers. Now powers are important for a few reasons, and we'll get to that in just a second, but some things we have to set up today will have zero impact on gameplay, while others we set up will initially have to determine exactly how we play the game in the beginning. And even further, others will have reaching effects that will stay with us throughout the entirety of the game that we play. Now, let's start with toon gender, and that choice is really male or female. It doesn't really matter as far as an actual gameplay standpoint in the least which one you choose, as it is purely a cosmetic choice. So for this toon, we're just going to choose male. Now next up is our body type. We have options of athletic, spry, and large, which is a hulking body style. Now you have subsets also of short, medium, and tall. Now a lot of people will say that this is a purely cosmetic choice as well. However, while tanking, I tend to find that smaller toons will have a bit of a harder time getting stuck in compromising positions. And the way that they get stuck is kind of funny and not what you think. The NPCs or the enemies do not do that dirty work, but instead it's the pets from other players that can box you into a corner, so you really want to be a little taller. Depending on the power set that you are, either feel free to choose what you look like, whether it be tall or short or wide or thin, but tanks, for your sake, please be game tall. Now next up is a simple choice, so we're going to go on ahead and select athletic tall.
Select Exobyte download type. Create a custom configuration or imprint using data from an Earth hero or villain.
Now, we can either go generic and take the path that the game has set up for us by going inspired by, or we can customize our baby toon entirely. Let's look right quick at the inspired choices.
Select a hero or villain morality.
Now this is really where you start to see the lore of DC kind of leak in on your choices of what you want to do with your toon. So we have choices from Batman, Superman, Catwoman, Lex Luthor, all the way down to Mirror and Ocean Master, with a bunch in between. Now, the downside to doing it this way, which it is really quick, but it locks you into whether you're a villain or a hero, also locks you in on your power type, which also controls your role, locks you in on your movement style, so how you really experience the content, and your weapon. So I'm going to recommend, because all of those are important choices, to go on ahead and hit that back button, and let's go on into custom. Now, since we don't want to go with that standard footprint, as most of us are custom people, myself included, let's go with that custom build and talk about factions.
Select a hero or villain morality.
Heroes or villains. This one is a biggie. It controls your experience in the entirety of the game. The population is different for each subset and controls how early in-game instances play out. Now your villain side is smaller in alignment, and you will have more trouble grouping up with different folks in the open worlds to tackle bounties and things of that nature. Ultimately, the choice is yours of which way to go, but for our example, let's go on ahead and go hero.
Select a personality to determine social behavior.
Now, personality type is a non-critical choice, making it simply style, but they each have their own emote sets, and we have choices of serious, flirty, powerful, comical, and primal. So let's take a look at their different stances. And for our example, let's go on ahead and go Flirty because I really love his dance moves.
Select a mentor as a guidelines for data application.
Now, next up is our origins. So our choices are magic, meta, and tech. This controls your mentor and your early experience in the game, like what missions you run and in what order during the leveling process all the way to 30. Now on the hero side, you have magic, which is Wonder Woman and Circe. Then you have meta, which is Superman and Lex Luthor. And then you have tech, which is Batman and Joker. So since Wonder Woman's awesome, let's go on ahead and do magic for ours.
Select power group from available exobyte data to determine combat role.
Then we have power choices. This will control your experience throughout the entirety of the game, from movesets and builds all the way to roles. And I guess this is probably a great time to go on ahead and talk about roles. Let's think about the roles as a really big circle. One you can't survive without the other in endgame, so you really need each, and sometimes you need more than one of each depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So there's really no right choice here, only the one that feels good for you. There are 3 choices here: tank, controller, which we'll call a troll, and a healer. Now your tanks and healers are pretty standard throughout the genre. Tanks, of course, just to touch base, they really kind of take that damage and try to draw the aggro from enemy NPCs, and those healers keep everyone alive. Now your trollers are an interesting dynamic to dcuo and necessary for one simple reason. If a tank doesn't have power, they can't pull aggro, and everyone's going to die. And if your healer doesn't have power, they can't keep everyone alive, so everyone dies. So trolls are necessary to keep power up or to power heal. And there are different types of each of these that I'll go into in another video, and mostly about battle tanks and battle healers and buff trolls versus power trolls. There's 1,000 ways to make a tune work in dcuo, but we'll keep that for another time. But the final element of our circle is the DPS. These are damage dealers and complete that circle as I mentioned. Now your DPS or your burners can be any role that you choose, but keep in mind, if played in the correct fashion, to be a good DPS, you can be any power that you want. So here are the choices. We have nature, sorcery, mental, fire, ice, fire, gadgets, hard light, electricity, earth, quantum, celestial, rage, munitions, atomic, or water. Now, each one of these is going to again control your role. So if you click atomic, atomic is a tank power, so that is going to lock you into either being a DPS or a tank. In your water tunes, they're a healer, so you can either be DPS or water. So for our example, since we're already down here, let's go ahead and click water.
Select movement mode.
Now next up we do have that movement mode. This is yet another important decision because it affects the entirety of the game, from races to movement abilities to performance and raids, all the way to damage capabilities. Now, our choices are flight, skimming, acrobatics, and super speed. Now, flight and skimming are very similar to each other because they are a reskin, so they're going to really perform in the same way but look slightly different, where acrobatics and super speed are faster moving powers that will get you to where you want to go quicker, but they tend to be a little bit more difficult to navigate in the open world and into raids, because if you're not coordinated like I am, then you can get caught on things, and because of that I just don't favor them. So if you're doing certain type of builds like Prec DPSs or things that we'll go into later, you really want that super speed because of its abilities given. So since we're doing a might build on this one, we're just going to go on ahead and go flight since it's really my favorite.
Select weapon specialties from available data.
Now weapons are an important choice for a variety of reasons, but since we're doing a might build, it's not going to be of large consequence to us which one we select. Now our options are hand blaster, one-handed, staff, dual wield, two-handed, martial arts, dual pistol, bow, brawling, rifle, or shield. So just for nostalgia purposes, and since we're already down here, plus it's a ton of fun to play, I'm going to go ahead and go shield.
Display exabyte download summary. Appearance options now available. Modify any category as desired. Accept download when ready.
So your summary screen is really a review of everything that we've done so far, just to make sure that everything is locked in the way that you want it. Now, what we haven't really done is to customize our look, and you can do that by clicking on Appearance. Our choices here are pretty great for the beginning, but they'll grow exponentially as we go through the game, and our look's going to change many different times throughout the game, so it's not a do or die if you like a few styles, but you can only pick one. So we can go on ahead and hop through and click on each one of these just to narrow it down and select exactly what you want. But for our example, I've kind of already done that to save us a little bit of time. I recommend that you do go in and click every one of those tabs and just explore them and see which one you like. But last up is the big one.
Download successful.
And that's going to stay with you until the end of the game unless you buy a name change badge. And that, of course, is your name. So select well, my friends. With that being said, we've chosen RR Water. Not horribly original, but at least you'll know me when you see me. So that does wrap up the character creation walkthrough. Thanks again for joining and learning with me. And once again, I'm Rick Rex. And if you like what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button to be notified when our next video in the series is posted. And also, it helps to support and grow the channel. Thanks all, and I'll see you next time here at Rick Rex Gaming.